Hi guys, so it's quite early in the morning and honestly the guys have done quite impressively well to actually build this quickly in such a short time. It's maybe a week or just over a week that they have been building, and hey, the pace is actually quite good enough. We started with the most important bit, and that is the structure. And remember what I told you guys, we're going to build it quick and cheap with simple materials, but try to make it as strong as possible. And this is the outcome. Yeah, this is the outcome. So the construction is actually still ongoing, but we've decided to build a 2-storied chicken house, just like the previous one that I have, just that we've decided to build it stronger and a bit more effectively. We'll build it to last a little bit longer than the previous one. I built it on the lower property, very close by to the very first farm. And yes, the capacity is 2,000 birds. That's if we're doing 6 birds per square meter. If you try to push to 7, maybe 8, maybe you can do 2,500. And let's just go take a look at it. There we go. You can see, so in length, the structure is 20 meters in length, and the width over there is 8 meters. Try to make it narrower than it is longer. And this one is a little bit better oriented to the sun compared to the previous structure. Not perfectly oriented. If you can take a look, the sun is rising very early in the morning, and this is our structure. Not perfectly east to west, you know, it's a little bit off, but we've tried to make it as on as possible. And yes, I've had some people ask me why I would build a 2-storied structure. You know, it's a bit more difficult to deal with, but the simple truth is, number one, it's cheaper. Now it's difficult to explain to people that it's cheaper, because when they imagine building that second floor, that level for the second floor actually makes it a little bit more expensive than you would if you are building everything completely on a flat ground. But yes, that's just one part of the story. The second part is the land on which you build the structure. Land over here is not very cheap compared to quite a number of other parts in Uganda, despite the fact that it's quite far away. For example, compared to the place where the bigger farm is, land over here is maybe 4 or 5 times more expensive. So building on the ground would mean that, hey, I'm actually wasting the space. So if I can build upwards, why not? I get to save money, a lot of money. The only thing with building upwards is that you don't have the alternative of stocking one floor and then stocking another floor at another time. You have to do an all-in, all-out system. So usually when I decide to build with 2 floors, I make it in such a way that I can stock in smaller numbers. So this structure takes 2,000, maximum I can push to 2,500 bags, and I can be able to stock all that in one go. I don't need to build like a 5,000 structure, because some other time I might want to stock just 2,000 or 2,500. And if I decide to stock only the lower floor, that means I have to wait for the entire flock, which is just the lower floor, to get done before I stock again. In this way, I can stock everything at once. That way, when it comes to cleaning, I can clean both up and down easier, simpler, without the hassles and the stresses of dealing with the biosecurity. Because it's a bit more complicated to deal with biosecurity on a 2-floored structure. So you can see that the structure was supported with posts, poles, wooden poles. And then we tried to make sure that we put 2 wooden poles at each point. 2. We'll need to get in for you to appreciate that. This is where the door is supposed to be, so we haven't yet placed the door. This place we have left open. The door is supposed to stand right here. So we haven't yet placed the door, and you can see that we've already actually screeded the floor. Concrete floor inside. And a concrete floor is very important to ensure that the chickens don't scratch and go through and access the ground, because when they do access the ground, then you're going to have issues with disease. The place wasn't very leveled. It's very slanting, and it has very hard marram at the bottom. So we actually had to go through quite some digging in order to put these wooden posts through to the ground. Some proper digging using really strong guys and tools, because we didn't have tools. So the guys had to use, you know, normal machinery, forks, hoes, to try and dig through and level the place. It was quite an amount of work, but well, we managed to do it, and we managed to level it. So it's very leveled, and like I've said, you can see that we have 2 posts at each point, and the posts continue all the way up. So one post continues up through the roof, and one post stops right here to support the upper floor. So if you take a look at the upper floor, this one has been built way stronger than the previous one. The previous one kinks in and it falls down at particular points, which is not a good thing. So here we made sure that the posts are a bit closer at the top over here, and that they are better supported. So the two posts ensure that the top floor is really supported. It's not supported by just nails being hanging from here to here. It's actually being supported from down, and then we try to tie them together using these. Tie the posts together so that we have as little weakening as possible. We don't need to hit very big thick nails through the posts, because that weakens the posts. And when the wind comes and it's blowing the entire structure, those points that are weakened by the nails actually become the points or the beginning points for the structure to weaken. And you can see, so that's how the entire structure has been built. Two posts everywhere at the bottom to support it, and it has 7 feet in height. So from the floor to the top, it's actually 7 feet in height. That's for this floor, and same thing for the top floor. And you can see over here we have our skirting on the side. That side over there, that's 3 feet, and we have 4 feet at the top over here. On the side here we put chain link. You can see, so we have both chain link and chicken mesh. You can see the chicken netting, and then we have chain link on the inside. And again, the chain link is to protect against human invasion, the chicken wire against, small birds and maybe bigger rodents, snakes, things like that from climbing on the inside. We have iron sheets for the bottom, so this time we didn't use brick like the previous house. And that's because this is simply cheaper and it's effective. It's actually easier to clean. Unless you plaster the brick is harder to clean and becomes more disastrous. This one is easier to clean. You just come with a pressure washer, flush even from the inside, and it will be clean. So you can see that we've put it all the way. It hasn't been completed till the end because we were missing chicken netting over here. You can see here, we didn't have chicken netting. It had stopped here. So I brought some more for today in order to complete all the way the other side and also put up there. And then we shall put the skirting also at the bottom, just like we've done at the opposite end. Then the bottom end and the top end are going to be built all the way up, because these are the most likely directions in which the sun actually hits the sides. So here we've only done the lower half. We're also going to build the upper half and also the top. We're going to build it all the way up. That way it will protect the house against the sun when the sun is both in the east and the western direction. On this side you can see that we have a nice overhang at the top. It's at least 1 meter, or maybe even a little bit more than 1 meter. And that's to make sure that when the winds are quite strong, we don't have rain going inside the house. That's for the top floor. Now the bottom floor, of course, there is nothing, but we're going to build one for the bottom floor too. So once they have finished building around the house, you're going to build another shed, an overhang, to ensure that when the winds are quite strong, we don't have water going inside here. Because if the water goes in, it makes the litter wet. The litter gets wet, it cakes. You get issues of coccidiosis. So you don't want to deal with such issues. You don't want to deal with water coming inside the poultry house. And at this point, you can see how we build upwards to try to bring the level up. So we're going to have to seal it on the outside by building a bit more on the outside using stones and blocks to ensure that it's more effectively closed. And of course, we're going to have to seal these places better. So we're going to seal these places just a little bit better so that there are no holes for possible rats or snakes getting on the inside. Now I need to get up there, but as there is no ramp that has been built yet, I'm going to have to use this ladder. Let's go there and I show you exactly what's happening on the top floor. So this point hasn't been completed, but you can see the wooden posts on which the timber is running. So that's part of the remaining timber that we have. It's going to be running on top of this, but it's because the timber that we do need actually to complete this area is not available. So the other side has been laid. This side, this area, you can see that it has been laid very well with timber. It's a very good type of timber, honestly. I don't know the type of tree, I don't know the name of the tree, but the timber is quite good. It's strong. It's not the one that gets bitten by insects and then it becomes fluffy and it starts pouring down. No, it is very, very good. So it has been placed on this side, and maybe a third of the house is not completed. So we need our supplier to supply us with more timber. He's still looking for it. So we are still waiting for it. So as we wait for it, the guys will be completing the work. As you can see here, we've completed the sides. It's this other side that we haven't completed the side. That is going to actually be completed today. And here too is going to be built all the way up because these are the widths, yeah? So the lengths are going to be left exactly the way they are. And the widths are going to be built all the way up to minimize the sun entering into the house. And of course, there is some holes in some sections of the house. You can see that, for example, there is holes here. So I'm going to try to block them using timber. For example, this hole over here, we'll get these offcuts of the timber, then bring it and put it over, cover it like that, yeah? So that's how we're going to build them and nail them in. So that's what we're planning to use, all these small, tiny offcuts that you see on the sides to try and cover up the holes on the house. So guys, tell me what you think in the comment section below. I think it's quite impressive. Getting better. It's all about learning from your mistakes. That's it. It's difficult to do things perfectly, but you always learn. So of course, with the next structure that's going to be built just next to this one, we'll certainly build it better than this, because there's a few things that we're actually learning, or things that we've learned from here that we can better, just like we learned from previous houses before we got here. So it's not as expensive as it would be using brick, number one. It's easier to clean because we're using iron sheeting, and you don't have the difficulties of using a brick wall and cleaning a brick wall. So it's effective. It will work. It will really work, and it will take in the birds. So in about a week and a half, we shall actually be bringing in birds over here. So we need to work on the plumbing, the feeding system, the drinking system, and ensure that this place is actually ready in a week and a half to receive birds here, so that we start brooding. So I'm really excited about it. Tell me what you think about it in the comment section. I would be very, very excited to read through your comments and respond to some of them. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, that way you never miss out on an upload. Lots of love. Bye.